Hello, welcome to My Journey in Clay, where we talk about things that are pottery related. I'm going to do a project today based on a tutorial that I saw on YouTube. I'm going to post the link in the description so that you can see the original tutorial because it is not my idea, it's an idea that I got from YouTube. But I'm going to try making it and we will see how it goes. I'm going to start with an already rolled out slab of clay cut into an 8-inch square. Here goes. This is the 8-inch square pattern that I used to cut the clay out. The next thing I'm going to do is give it some texture with a piece of material that I have. I'm going to use my rib to smooth the clay first. Have a couple little pieces of dried clay on here, so I will wipe those off. Now I'm going to make my clay smooth, ready for the material. And when I put the material on, I will use my rolling pin, but I'll be careful not to roll along the edges too strongly so that I don't distort the piece. So that looks pretty good, and now I'm going to add some more texture by using a belt that I have that makes a really nice texture, and I'm going to roll 3 different lines across this. Now I'm going to take my pattern piece, place it against the clay, and see if I distorted any of it, if I rolled it too hard and have it out of square, but it looks pretty good. So the next step is going to be smoothing the edges a little bit. I don't really have to do this, but I don't know, I like to have them a little bit smooth. You're going to be smoothing them again at the end, so it's kind of unnecessary, but there you go. Now we're going to cut our corner pieces out. If you look at the pattern piece that's in the description of the video, we'll see a pattern and you'll see how these pieces are cut out of each corner. So we're going to cut a piece from each corner, and after that we will be putting it together. Now I'm going to score each piece where I'm going to be putting it together and put some slip on to begin attaching them. I'm going to do one side at a time, being as careful as I can to bend it with as much of my hand as possible to keep from getting little finger marks in there. Honestly, this clay is a little bit too soft. I really should have waited a little bit, but we're going to get each of these corners, scratch, slip, and put them together. Doesn't have to be perfect at this point because we are going to go over it again. But you want to go ahead and join them so it can start setting up a little bit. Again, you can see how soft this clay is. It's just a little bit too soft. Obviously, you don't want it to be too hard or it's going to crack, but this is just a little bit too soft, but I'm working with it. All right, there we go. Last corner. I'm going to go ahead and smooth each of the edges here as much as possible. I can't really turn it upside down yet because it's too soft. So I'll go ahead and I'll smooth each of these edges as much as possible. Because it is so soft, I'm going to make some little supports for each of these sides. Each of the edges, you can make them like I have them here, a little bit bowed, which I kind of like, or you can make them straighter, but this is just a little bit more bowed than what I want. And I'm going to take these little supports that I've just, made rolls of clay with and put them up against the side while it dries a little bit. I've let this sit out overnight, covered loosely with plastic, since I really did start putting it together when it was a little bit too soft. So we're going to take off these little supports that were there to keep it from bending down too far. I want to turn it over, so I have some thin like foam material. I'm going to put that in here, and then I am going to put just some fabric that I have that is soft, and so it should not let things get distorted. Not sure if that'll be enough. I think maybe one more. I'm going to join all these edges a little bit tighter. Okay, we're going to flip this back over now that the edges are smooth. I'm going to take out all these pieces of fabric and my foam rubber. Then I'm just going to use some plastic wrap to start smoothing the edges. I'm going to be careful here to not bend in too far, so I'm going to support it with one hand while I use the other hand to smooth the edge. I'm going to go over each side like this. I'm going to use just a little bit of slip for some of these inside corners. Normally I would put a coil really to reinforce this, but because of the design I have on the inside, if I coil it, it'll kind of mess up the design. So just going to put a little bit of slip and use my tool to try to smooth it out a little bit. It takes a while to do all this smoothing and joining of seams, but it looks better if you do take the time. Now I'm going to use this level because what I found is frequently I get it like a little bit lopsided. So doing the level really helps me to keep it level. I've let this set up for a little bit just so that it's a little bit more firm. And now I have 4 balls of clay of equal size rolled out. And I'm going to make for each of the corners, well, it's kind of like a knuckle. You take the ball of clay and you just keep rotating it until you have a kind of a knuckle in the center, and the sides are a little bit longer. So I just keep rotating it and pulling. It takes kind of a bit. I did get better as I did a few, but it takes a little bit. So I'm just going to roll out the ends and try to keep that centerpiece intact. Once I do that, I'm going to scratch the edge of the piece where it's going to go. And I'm going to also scratch the knuckle itself, which I may not really have to do since it's pretty soft, but I want to make sure that it adheres well. So I'm going to put some slip on, and then I'm going to attach the piece. I'm being careful here to line up that center piece of the knuckle to the corner, the exact corner of the piece. And then I'm just going to keep smoothing and smoothing and smoothing until it becomes seamless. This is going to take a little bit because I really want it to look like it's all part of the original piece. I don't want it to look like I have added these sides. I just want it to blend in. So I'm being careful here because I also do not want to distort the sides of the piece while I am smoothing this clay down in there. Okay, those little knuckles took quite a while, and I have a little more refining to do. They're a little lumpier than I'd like. Also, I need to smooth over these edges. So I've already smoothed over it with my fingers quite a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and take a damp sponge. Let me make sure this is not too wet. And go over all these edges here, smooth them out. The other thing that takes a while is getting these lines where it attaches down here. I don't want to see a line there. I want it to be seamless, and that's taken a little bit of time. I'm going to turn this upside down one more time and sort of double check the bottom. It's stiff enough now that I can pick it up without distorting it. But I just want to go over these corners. Yeah, so you can see that needs to be fixed there. Our next step here is to make a footer for the piece, and to do this I have 4 small clay balls rolled out. I'm going to flatten them with a ruler before we attach them. Turn it over and I will scratch each of these little pieces. Now I'm going to put this up a little bit higher, move the camera up a little bit so you can see, so that I can see the piece that I'm working on, and also so that I can get underneath of it when I attach the 4 pieces here. So I'm going to scratch in each of the corners. I'm going to make it in, not all the way on the edge, but in about a ½ inch or so. And this is not really necessary, but you can have a flat bottom and it's fine, but I like the lift of the look that it gives when you just do that little tiny bit. And while I'm attaching these, my hand is reaching on the inside as I press the little ball or button on the outside. I'm holding it from the inside so that I don't push that clay down on the inside, so that it doesn't go all the way onto the other side. Now to turn this over, I'm going to get my wear board. I'm going to put a little bit of newspaper on here just to make sure that it doesn't stick. Then I'm going to put the wear board on the bottom of my piece and flip it over carefully. Okay, now I'm going to remove the material, remove the foam rubber, and I'm done. I really like the way these knuckles add to the piece. And I like the texture. I'm excited to see how this is going to turn out when I glaze it. I think I'm going to make another one or two just so that I can have a couple more to glaze and see how they turn out. Well, I made two more in addition to the one that I made earlier. This one is similar, kind of the same pattern, but we'll see. I thought I'd glaze them differently and see how they turn out. This one, I wanted to try a rectangular one, so I made it a little bit longer, made the pattern a little bit different. I did that same belt and stuff, but I did lace on the corners. I think if I did it again, I would make the lace a little more pronounced, maybe. Anyway, it's fun using different textures like that. So if you try this, please let me know. Normally I do like to show the finished product when I do a video, but since it's Christmas and since I won't be doing any firing until at least next week or so, thanks for watching and see you next time.